Hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 FM.
With your main newscast for Sunday, May 21st, 2023. My name is Joshua Van Slykeman. Good afternoon and thank you for joining us. The $2 billion U.S. parent guarantee Guyana is poised to receive from ExxonMobil Corporation for the Stabroek Block only covers expenses associated with an oil spill within these berths. The determination of that sum did not consider ensuing liabilities of potential impacts on 12 Caribbean territories. Though the worst-case scenarios outlined in the Environmental Impact Assessment for the Liza Phase 1 project, Alastair Routledge, president of ExxonMobil affiliate ESSO, said that it is not considered as a quote-unquote credible case, especially when one considers the extensive measures in place for the Stabroek Block, that is. Routledge said that the $2 billion US guarantee to be supplied by ESSO's parent was determined by an independent consultant. The bill for that service was handled by ESSO. In other news, the conversation about the changes to the quote-unquote sanctified ExxonMobil oil contract took a U-turn on Friday when the company's president committed that it would not walk away if the government demands more from its sweet light crude discovered in the lucrative Stabroek Block. President of ESSO, Alastair Routledge, was at the time being pressed on returning to the table with the country's leaders to discuss more fiscal benefits for the nation. In light of the continued success of Oil Block, which happens to be the country's largest, when he initially started off by describing the contract as a competitive, Kaieteur sought clarity from Routledge on whether he believes ExxonMobil Corporation would walk away if the administration asks for a 10% royalty, for instance. To this end, he explained, and I quote, "History will tell you that when disputes start about contracts, investments stop. Investors hate uncertainty," unquote. He was, however, told that the question was directly about Exxon and if it is prepared to pack up and leave Guyana over such a dispute, especially since it has already made over 30 discoveries since 2015. In response, Routledge explained, and I quote, "No company walks away easily," end quote. In other news, the boat used on Friday to facilitate the escape of death row inmate Mark Royden Durant, also known as Royden Williams in Smalley from the Mazaruni prisons, had reportedly been recovered and its owner and captain detained. According to Minister of Home Affairs Robeson Ben, the boat captain is alleging that he was forced by 3 gunmen, heavily armed with AK-47 and AR-15 rifles, to assist them in the mission to free Williams. The minister said too that the gunmen are said to be all Guyanese who are no stranger to police. They reportedly exited the boat at the right bank of the Cuney River in the vicinity of the Barakara Quarry located a few miles away from the Mazaruni prison. Ben noted that checkpoints have been set up and exit and entry points in the area, including the river. Mining camps, properties and houses in the area along with vehicles will also be searched as the Joint Services ranks continue its manhunt for Williams, the gunmen and perhaps more criminals who could have joined him along the way. And in other news, the government of Guyana has a relationship with ExxonMobil's local subsidiary, which has been described as quote-unquote cooperative. This can also be seen in how Exxon relates with government regulators like the Environmental Protection Agency. However, this sort of kinship has resulted in one Exxon shareholder raising concerns about whether it could interfere with proper regulation of the Stabroek Block projects. A report from The Guardian, an UK news entity, indicated that 2 shareholder resolutions were filed in the aftermath of the High Court ruling ordering the provision of an unlimited guarantee by ExxonMobil, one of the resolutions from Anar Dar. Mars Lies indicated worry that there could be a loss of trust in ExxonMobil arising from operational and issues connected to legal actions brought against the company in Guyana. Some of the litigation in Guyana concerns the risk of a blowout or other incident. Media reports indicate that Esso Exploration in Guyana Limited is operating its floating production, storage and offloading vessel above their safety limits, about which the former head of Guyana's Environmental Protection Agency, Dr. Vincent Adams, has expressed serious concerns. Also noting that this would not be possible in the U.S., where he worked for the Department of Energy for many years. The shareholders said it was also noted that Exxon has dismissed concerns about its Guyana's operations by emphasizing how cooperatively it works with the country's EPA. While Exxon management may prefer this kind of relationship, the shareholders said safe operations requires robust enforcement of rules and regulations. In other news, Vice President Barrett Jagdi on Thursday said the government will shift its focus on monitoring the oil and gas operation once it completes the new production sharing agreement to govern future oil blocks and update the 1986 Petroleum Act. He was at the time responding to a question from this newscast during his press conference on Thursday regarding monitoring on the ongoing production activities from an environmental perspective as more projects continues to be approved. And Guyana's petroleum sector has changed the trajectory of this country and has tremendously impacted the way the country operates. If the sector is to develop in an accountable manner, it is therefore critical that there be an informed opposition that can hold the government's feet to the fire on how the resource is being managed. Thus far, Guyana's political opposition has yet to rise to this occasion. The Office of the Leader of the Opposition holds weekly press conferences with a panel of representatives led by Opposition Leader Aubrey Norton. While the leader is extremely critical of the administration, he is yet to prove that the opposition, often regarded as the government in waiting, has the aptitude to address various oil and gas matters. The most recent press conference is an example of this. After the opposition read a series of press statements last Thursday and fielded questions on the content of those matters, which included poultry economics, the media sought to solicit comments from the leader on various oil matters. Instead of providing an in-depth view of their policy positions, Norton and his team, including his economist advisor Elson Lowe and Member of Parliament Ganesh Mahipal, repeatedly maneuvered away from addressing critical questions. They spent a number of time continuously pivoting away from the questions posed and displayed a worrying lack of knowledge of the oil issues they choose to introduce into the conversation. And finally, at this time, police have confirmed that a 9-year-old Venezuelan girl is missing after a monster wave at Zilat on the west coast of Demerara seawall swept her away on Friday afternoon. Feared dead is Alexander Jose Petrel Rodriguez of Zilat on the west coast of Demerara. And that's the news to the moment. My name is Josh Van Slijkman. Thank you for joining us.
And that's the news of the moment. Remember to get the full details of these stories. Pick up a copy of